Hey everyone, Cerebral Tackle back again. This is part 2 on my How to Be a Better Co-Angler series. This one is going to focus on how to make you a really good co-angler. Now that you're adjusted to your surroundings, you've got to know some of your fellow co-anglers and anglers, and you're starting to get the lay of the land. How do you put all that to use and sharpen your skills to become better? Well, let's go over a few things. Now, unless you're on schooling fish that are biting the same lure 1,000 times, just no matter what's thrown in front of them, you don't have to throw what the guy in the front of the boat is throwing. There's a reason why. You got to remember something important here. You're in the back of the boat. You're the second look. Let's say he's throwing a jig. I've had personal experience in this. He's a good bass jig fisherman. He's power fishing that jig. If he's good at what he does, by the time those same fish that saw his jig see yours, they're not going to be interested. You're always going to be the second look these fish get. A lot of times fixing this is by making small adjustments. A slightly different size. Stay in the same color scheme, but a slightly different color. Does your bait rattle or does theirs go the opposite direction? Are one of you using a scent and the other not? Go that opposite direction. The devil's always in the details. Make small little adjustments. What you're looking for is if that boater is on a good pattern and you're just not catching as many, make a small adjustment to keep those fish, get them a second look that they might be more interested in what you're throwing than what your boater is. A good example of this is that whole jig thing I alluded to a minute ago. It was a championship tournament, and on day one, I got a draw of a dude that is a jig fishing freaking beast. Bad man. Like, mama, there goes that man kind of bad man. Well, I asked him at the partner draw, what are we going to be doing? He says, it's fall on X Lake. I'm going to be throwing a jig. You know, I love to fish jigs. Not a lot, though. I mean, I say love. I'll do it. I guess love's the wrong word. But I'm not a fantastic jig fisherman. And I'm sure not on the scale that this guy is, right? If I threw a jig behind him, I would get skunked. Why? Because they've already seen the best jig presentation that's going to be on that lake that day. So, how did I combat this? Easy. I threw a shaky head jig. Not a big old bass jig, flipping wood jig, that kind of thing. No, I threw a shaky head. And you know what? I was right behind him. We come in with the best stringer of the day. We had combined heavy boat. He was in first place, and I was in second. Why? Well, because I did something slightly different. I wasn't going to throw a jig and compete with this dude. But a finesse style, shaky head jig, yeah, all those fish that didn't want his bigger, bulkier item, they were slurping up my shaky head all dadgum day. And we went out there and we absolutely wrecked them. I ended up coming in either second or third in that championship tournament. So, it worked. Like I alluded to in part 1, alter your tackle slightly to the angler you drew. As you get to know people, you're going to realize that if you draw Joe, he's not going to do X, Y, and Z that you love to do. It's just not his style. He's not going to visit it. So how do you handle this situation? You pare down your tackle to your second run confidence baits that fall in line with what he is going to be doing. Don't let it get you down. Just mold your thinking in the way that best suits the conditions of fishing you're going to be in. If he's a sea rigger and you like beating the banks all day, well, turn some of your confidence baits that you use up there bank beating, some of your T-rig plastics, some shaky heads, throw them out there deep. Put them on the back of a sea rig. Keeping confidence baits like that will help you. It'll still keep you in the right frame of mind and help you believe in what it is you're doing. And I know they say confidence is the best bait in the box, and It's cliche as hell, but it's right. Do that. That's what's going to help you be a better angler. That's what's going to keep you in tight games when the guy in the front of the boat has all the advantage. Don't let him snuff your fire. Just change what it is you're doing to fit that day and roll with it. Now, let's say you get out there and their pattern isn't working. It's in the toilet. Don't let it get you down. Work the problem. Let's say they're methodical, working through an area really slowly, power fishing, the whole power fishing slowly, Texas rigs, jigs, that kind of thing. But the boat's not at a good clip on the small motor, right? Not moving too quick. Throw something that might elicit more of a reaction strike. Jerkbait, small crankbait, bounce chatterbaits off a brush, rip lipless crankbaits through grass. Do something like that. You don't have to go completely 180 degrees from what they're doing like that, but switch it up. Because if the boat's moving slow, why not make it more efficient and get more casts in? Hammer that water. Only do this if it's a stinker of a pattern. If he hasn't got a bite all day, he's zeroing. Think outside the box. Throw away what you're doing and do something different. Salvage that time on the water. Because if it's that stinker of a pattern, what's not going to work is continuing to do what he's doing, right? Switch it up. Go your own way and try to make the most efficient time you have out of that section of water. Worst comes to worst and the pattern is that bad, offer suggestions on new water. Don't just, like I said before in the previous video, just go somewhere on a hunch. Work the problem, discuss, communicate with them, right? So, okay, they're not doing this. Maybe the fish are doing this. Maybe they pull back to that other break line. Maybe they went out deeper. Talk it through with them. Work the problem, brainstorm with them, and who knows, maybe you'll get on something. A partner and I did that here on a new lake I hadn't fished before just a couple of years ago. It was the second day of a 2-day tournament, and we really need to get back into the money. He asked me for my suggestions. I went with a different idea. We ended up coming out with second place. Whatever you do, don't come off as disrespectful. Always offer your suggestions out of sincerity, okay? Make sure they understand you're wanting to help. You're just trying to be helpful and help them work the problem so both of you can have a good time on the water, right? Be careful how you present it. Because if they're frustrated because they're having a bad day and they know you're probably frustrated because they're not putting you on fish and they probably feel some kind of way, guilt about not putting you on fish, things can come across wrong. Be careful in how you approach it. Be respectful, offer up suggestions, and who knows, y'all might do like my partner and I did, end up in second. Whatever you do, one of the biggest things I can tell you to do on the water, focus. Pay attention to every cast. Sometimes it's going to be mundane. Sometimes it's going to be just muscle memory, casting and winding, casting and winding. Try to remember in your head to pay attention to how you work that bait. Bad habits will develop. You'll stop working that shaky head the same way, that drop shot the same way, that T-rig, that C-rig, that crankbait. Little bad habits will kind of work their way into your presentation. Stop, think, focus. I swear to you, the more you focus on what it is you're doing, the more success you will have. That's a mistake I made. Sometimes I didn't focus like I should have. But I'll tell you one thing. I can tell you a distinct freaking difference in the days I focused and the days I didn't. And they show on the scoreboard. At the end of the day, you're still a co-angler. That doesn't mean you need to let yourself get bullied. Trust me, it happened to me. Understand the lay of the land. Understand your role. But don't let yourself get bullied. Don't be discouraged, okay? I'm not saying there's just full of jerks. 98% of the people you'll fish with will be great folks. I have had the pleasure out of 18 years of fishing with a ton of people. Local level, state level, I mean, folks from all walks of life, all degrees of talent. I've made some awesome friends along the way. So 98% is going to be good people. 2%, sorry, they're going to be assholes. No two ways about it. Don't let yourself get bullied. Also, don't let yourself get drawn off sides into an altercation. Chill. Be the better man. Let them look like the idiot. Just roll. Because trust me, if you hear something like, "You caught my fish," you know what that means? Now, some people will say it jokingly. Some people won't. I've had a few times where they weren't kidding. That's not true. Don't be guilted into believing that crap, okay? You didn't catch their fish. You know why? That fish got first look at their offering and gave them the finger. So if you hear somebody literally say to you, "You caught my fish," say, "No, it looked at you and thought you were so ugly it came running to me." That's what happened, folks. So I've ran into a few jerks like this. Some guys will also throw out the non-joking line of, "Well, I guess I just need to put it up and become a guide." That happens when you're out fishing them out of the back of the boat. Some guys joke when they say this. Some guys are serious. When they're serious, you know what I'm thinking? If they could be a guide, they would be a guide. And they're not. Why? Because they just got their ass kicked by their co-angler. At the end of the day, you're in it to win it. You're in it to have a good time. And for 8 to 12 hours, you're going to be stuck with that guy in the front of the boat. He's human like everybody else. Try to be encouraging. Be supportive. Be a good dude to him. Generally speaking, you'll get that same behavior right back. Have fun. Competition is fun, yes, but you don't want all the other things that come along with competition to ruin it for you. You're out there to have a good time. So have a blast. Take good care of him. Hopefully he'll take good care of you. Have a great time out on the water. Enjoy your time outdoors. Trust me, there's going to come a day where you're not going to have it anymore. It's happened to me. It ain't fun. So enjoy every second while you have it, because one day you will miss it. So that wraps it up, folks. If there's any questions or things I didn't cover, leave it in the comment section. I'll try to respond, and I'll maybe even make a video covering it. Until then, please like, share, subscribe, and I hope this works out for you. I hope you gained some information from it that you haven't got from all the other videos on how to be a co. Hope you find your tournament home. I had 18 good years. So, folks, wraps it up. Until next time, get out there in the water. Keep it wet.